In the land of Ooh, the land of adventure and magic, we will introduce you to the character of Finn, where we will introduce you to his childhood, his relationship, his friendship, and also his biggest enemy. Let's begin. In the mystical and whimsical land of Ooh, where magic and adventure are part of everyday life, an extraordinary story of fate and friendship began one fateful day. Joshua and Margaret, the parents of Jake the dog, were renowned adventurers. They had explored many corners of Ooh, always ready to lend a helping paw to those in need. One crisp autumn afternoon, as they were exploring a dense forest on the outskirts of the grasslands, they heard a faint cry echoing through the trees. Intrigued and concerned, Joshua and Margaret followed the sound, navigating through the thick foliage until they stumbled upon a small bundle wrapped in tattered cloth. To their amazement, inside the bundle was a human baby, a rare sight in the land of Ooh. The baby looked up at them with big, curious eyes, and Margaret's heart melted instantly. She picked him up gently, cradling him in her arms. "Joshua, look at him. He's all alone out here," she said, her voice filled with compassion. And so, Joshua and Margaret brought the baby back to their cozy home. They named him Finn, inspired by the tiny fin-shaped tuft of hair on his head. From that day forward, Finn was raised alongside their own son, Jake, a magical dog with the ability to stretch and transform his body. Now let's talk about Finn and Princess Bubblegum's relationship. Princess Bubblegum kisses Finn on the cheek for trying to win her heart. Through his smarts, Finn and Jake are headed to the Candy Kingdom Castle, where Princess Bubblegum is holding her science barbecue. They're carrying a gift Finn made for her, a scale model of the Candy Kingdom made from his own spit bubbles. Jake teases that Finn wants to trade spit with Princess Bubblegum, which embarrasses him. Outside her castle, Princess Bubblegum is setting up a stage and lighting the grill with flambeaux. Finn presents his gift to her, but when she closes her eyes, she sneezes, popping the bubble sculpture. However, Princess Bubblegum thinks the pink tray it was on is actually the gift and gladly accepts it. Chet and Peppermint Butler get into an argument over who will get to be Grillmeister and accidentally knock over the grill. Finn jumps in to save the day, putting out the fire by stabbing some meat and throwing it over the flame. Impressed by his heroic actions, the princess asks him to be a speaker at her barbecue. Finn fears that he is not smart enough to impress the princess, so he and Jake go to the library to get smarter. After trying to read books about figs and pigs, they quickly grow bored and distracted and start dancing and hollering, which causes Turtle Princess to kick them out. They then seek out pupil worms who run a worm college in an old rotten apple. Finn and Jake try to sneak into a worm class. Finn disguises his finger as a worm and gives the name of Wormy McSquirmy. The teacher says he is on the list of students, but he hasn't shown up for a single class, which makes the worms angry and starts a fight. After getting out of academia, Jake suggests the easy way out: magic. They visit Choose Goose's magical shack, where he offers to give them the glasses of Nerdicon in exchange for being entertained. Finn entertains him with a finger puppet dance and puts on the glasses. Finn's old perception of reality is shattered, as he instantly becomes a genius and understands the nature of space and the universe. At the barbecue, Finn presents the Bubble Creator. He shows everyone a two-dimensional bubble, telling them it casts a one-dimensional shadow. He then presents a three-dimensional bubble, telling them it casts a two-dimensional shadow. And he finally shows them a fourth-dimensional bubble which resembles a tesseract. It casts a three-dimensional shadow beyond comprehension, causing time and space to later collapse and become a black hole. Finn then tells Bubblegum that he got smart by putting on the glasses, which she asks to take them off because she needs the real Finn. She takes them off, and Finn sees the black hole. He goes to destroy it, but the Bubble Creator flies toward him, and he stabs it, destroying it. But it turns his sword into a fourth-dimensional sword. He then gets an idea and lets himself get sucked in. Once he is in, the black hole explodes, and Finn comes flying out with no sword. Bubblegum then sobs over his shoulder, telling him that her barbecue turned into a fiasco, but everyone cheers. She then catches Finn's list he wrote down when he had the glasses on and learns that Finn intended to win the heart of the princess. When confronted about this, Finn explains how he wrote all that when he wore the glasses. Bubblegum then kisses him on the cheek, which causes him to pant heavily and faint. When Finn does that, Bubblegum starts to giggle. Now let's talk about Finn and Jake friendship. As housemates, adoptive brothers, and best friends, Finn and Jake share an incredibly strong bond. The duo share a relationship similar to that of siblings, with Jake acting as Finn's older brother. In Who Would Win, they realize that they cannot cannot abandon each other and that they must remain friends and brothers, the episode begins with Finn and Jake walking up to a cliff. Finn thinks that he can make the jump, but he tries and falls. Jake saves him, and Finn tries again. Jake comes with him and they glide over the cliff. Finn tells Jake that he likes just spending time with him without other people. Finn and Jake then see some marauders climbing over a barn. They go down to investigate and find out that the barn is actually a legendary fighter called the Farm. After the Farm throws off all of the marauders, the train comes along to attack him. The train attacks but loses when the Farm sits on him. Finn and Jake run to the train to make sure he is okay, and he says that he will be, since he says he has a friend that makes bionic legs. Finn states that he wants bionic legs, but Jake tells him that he does not and says that they will discuss it later. The guys decide that they want to fight the Farm and start training, but while Finn is taking training seriously, Jake plays Compy's castle behind his back, stating that it is important that he remains the third best player of the game. Finn gets mad at him and breaks the game, which flashes Jake, "I've always had a crush on you," before it dies. Then it starts to rain without a cloud in the sky. Jake, in a fit of rage, tells Finn that he is going to break every bone in his body and heal him later with the magical tears that they got from the Cyclops' eye. The boys start earnestly fighting, Jake growing to the size of a giant and battering Finn, and Finn deceiving Jake, causing him to punch himself. Eventually, they come to a log, and while Finn is going across, he falls, making him dangle by his head and part of his shoulders. Jake sees this as an opportunity and starts kicking him. The log breaks and both of the boys fall. Jake lands first and Finn lands on top of Jake, and the log landing on top of Jake and further tiring the magic dog. The two continue their fight, both weary and bruised. The two use cheap moves, Finn giving Jake an Indian burn and throwing mud in his eyes. Jake revealing Finn's red and white underpants and grew his butt in order to squish him. Finn bit down on Jake's buttocks and the fight finally came to an end. The boys decide that they both are going to fight the Farm without each other's help. When they get there, they are so tired that they are easily knocked out. During their sleep, they see the Dream Warrior, who tells them, "I'm here to hang with you in your together dream," and says seemingly random things that make no sense, such as 2 shiny golden apples ripe enough to bite, and sends them back to reality. When Finn and Jake wake up, they realize that the Dream Warrior was telling them the right cheap moves to take down the Farm, and use them by putting mud in his eyes, pulling down his pants, and biting his buns. The Farm falls defeated. Finn and Jake rejoice at their victory, hailed as brojans and given medals. Enemies. The Lich is Finn's arch nemesis. They first meet in Mortal Folly. In part 1, Finn, Jake, and Princess Bubblegum are meditating on the balcony of the castle. At first, the boys have trouble concentrating, but the princess tells them to clear their minds, and it works. Finn has a vision of himself older and cooler with new powers, such as having a mechanical arm. Jake has a vision of Lady Rainicorn riding a horse. Princess Bubblegum has a vision of a dark figure and panics before saying she needs to check on something, and Finn and Jake decide to go with her. She gives Finn and Jake gems like the one in her tiara before entering a secret room in the heart of the tallest tree, where she shows them an ancient evil sorcerer called the Lich, or the Lich King, held in a prison of amber, and explains that the gems will keep themselves safe from the Lich's spells that control and possess people. Then she tells the story of how he plotted to destroy O and kill everyone until the hero Billy pushed him into the resin of the amber. As she explains, however, the waving snail climbs out of Finn's backpack and is quickly possessed by the Lich, as it is not wearing the jewelry. The snail makes a crack in the amber, and the Lich is quickly freed. When Finn and Jake try to stop him, the Lich escapes and heads towards the skies. Princess Bubblegum then takes them to the other secret room and gives Finn the gauntlet of the hero Billy, a gauntlet that Billy used to defeat the Lich the first time, and tells him to smite the Lich with it before he gets to his well of power and gets his magic back. She also tells Finn that the Lich's lair is cold, so she gives him a sweater that she made, telling him she cares for him. As one last parting, the trio hugs each other for good luck. While they're hugging, a latched window opens up, revealing the Ice King, who butts in, asking Finn and Jake to bless his wedding with Princess Bubblegum, which of course they refuse to do. As they journey to find the Lich, the Ice King repeatedly begs for the blessing. After Finn uses the gauntlet gauntlet on him, the Ice King gives up on the blessing and kidnaps the princess while she is eating ice cream in hopes that Finn and Jake are alright. All the while, Finn and Jake are in pursuit of the Lich, following the destruction he has left behind. As they reach the end of Iceberg Lake, just as Finn prepares to smite the Lich with the gauntlet, the Ice King interrupts them yet again to show them he kidnapped Princess Bubblegum. While he does this, the Lich makes it to his well, so Finn and Jake hurry down and the Ice King follows. Finn manages to fight off the skeletal guards that try to block his path, but his pack is ripped to bits while fighting. After blowing a hole in the ground with the gauntlet, Finn manages to grab hold of a hanging pipe leaking toxic waste, which forms the Lich's well of power in the chamber below, where the Lich begins his power rejuvenation. Finn tries to smite the undead creature with his gauntlet, but the Lich, having regained some of his old power, grabs hold of Finn's wrist and turns the gauntlet to dust, burning Finn's hand in the process. With their main weapon destroyed, Jake tries to bark the villain but is struck in the face with fire and knocked out, and when he falls, Finn's protective jewelry breaks and the Lich successfully possesses Finn's body in an instant. The Lich compels Finn to walk into his well of power, asking him if he is cold, but Finn resists his influence by screaming, "I have a sweater on!" The Lich, having failed to take control of Finn's body completely, decides to destroy him with his flames, but they too fail to kill him. Finn realizes then that the sweater Princess Bubblegum made for him is keeping him safe, for it has the power of love in it. But Finn feels embarrassed saying love, so he says liking someone a lot. Finn fully escapes the Lich's possession and charges at him with his sweater, jumps on him, and pulls the sweater through his eye sockets. As the Lich struggles, trying to burn Finn while laughing hysterically, Finn pulls the sweater vigorously upwards until the Lich's face is broken off and his body turns to dust. After Jake makes sure Finn is okay, the Ice King, in celebrating the victory he had no part in, decides to set Princess Bubblegum free, but in doing so, he stupidly drops her into the boiling well, much to Finn and Jake's horror, and the episode ends.